Let me start by saying that the divine in me honors and recognizes the divine in you, and that I'm grateful for your presence here in this class, in this earth, and on this multiverse as we journey through this experience and learning together. Tonight's class is class 4 on how to achieve ultimate fulfillment. This week's class is abundance and prosperity. So let me start by saying that we often misunderstand what success is in life. We for one reason or another, many times, and because it's true, we default to the phrase Western culture or the Western form of thinking or the industrial form of thinking. And so most people, and I would like to immediately disabuse anyone of the idea that thinks that we're here talking about stacking huge amounts of cash and copious amounts of luxury items. That is far from what success is and what abundant living is. So just give me a second, guys. There's a lot of... Make sure that everybody's muted. Hola. Okay. That's much better. Sorry, guys. All right, so back to this. So abundance, right? So what we're talking about here is an abundant life. It's a prosperous life. And certainly within this, there's room and lots of room for comfortable living. If we have the opportunity, we should definitely live within comfort. But what we're talking about is having a life that is abundant in everything, in ultimate fulfillment, right? It's abundant in health for the mind. It's abundant in health for the body. It's abundant in health for the spirit. It's abundant in wealth of relationships, wealth of personal knowing, your personal introspective, a wealthy introspective, wealth within the alignment of mind, body, and soul, and the alignment to your life's purpose. These are the things that bring us abundance. These are the things that bring us prosperity. So I'm going to start with a quote by Ralph Waldo Emerson that for me really helps describe what success is. And then I'm going to read to you guys a quote by Gandhi, Mahatma Gandhi, on how I feel one can... It's a very summarized way on how to achieve success. So here we're going to discuss a little bit in a moment what this quote is, what success is, and then we'll look at how do we achieve that success in general terms, of course, but I think this is a nice way of warming into it. Ralph Waldo Emerson. What is success? To laugh often and much, to win the respect of intelligent people and the affection of children, to earn the appreciation of honest critics and endure the betrayal of false friends, to appreciate the beauty, to find the best in others, to leave the world a bit better, whether by a healthy child, a garden patch, or a redeemed social condition. To know even one life has breathed easier because you have lived. This is to have succeeded. And I honestly believe that. I really feel that here, what he's talking about metaphorically and literally is success. In the Ngano language, there's a saying, and God knows if I'm going to pronounce it right, but it's suma kauyai, which is the good life. And when we talk about abundance, when we talk about prosperity, this is what we're talking about, the good life, where we laugh often, where we win the respect of those that we respect, of those that are beautiful people who live in beautiful ways, when we can appreciate honest criticism and appreciate the person that comes to us with a clear intention of supporting us, even though it might be a critique, it's for our own development, to be able to receive this with an open heart. This is to be a successful person, a confident person, to be able to weather difficult storms, betrayals, because as we said in the first class, that river of shit, one day or another, always shows up at our door, no matter how good things are going. It's inevitable. How do we circumnavigate difficult situations? How do we weather those storms? And at the end, what do we leave behind? because as we journeyed, as Teta Juanito explains, we come to this world on loan. This physical body is a vehicle where the soul can conduct physical affairs in this plane known as the earthly terrain, or as the earth domain. Okay, so it's on loan to us. It really doesn't belong to you. You have no title to this physical body, and the truth is, you have some control over it, but you have no say in when it's going to stop working. Pretty much, everything following a natural timeline. So while we're here, we receive a lot. Every time that we cry, every time that we're depressed, every time that we laugh, every time that we're happy, we're receiving an experience. We're receiving the true sensation of a sincere emotion. But then what? You came, you learned, you saw, you conquered, or you lost. But at the end of the day, you received a lifetime of experience. What did you leave behind? As you were planning your life out, as you were living out these plans and adjusting for the plans that didn't work out in your life, you were always thinking about yourself. You were always thinking, whether it was your family, your friends, but it was about your world, in that immediate moment, and that's in this lifetime. But what are we leaving behind? What kind of inheritance are we leaving? Are we leaving a healthy child, like Emerson says? Or did we plant some food somewhere where it wasn't growing? Or did we plant seeds of hope and life into another human being? I remember I have an amazing agricultural teacher. He's one of the top organic researchers, scientists, and agriculturalists in the world. His name is Juan Jose Paniagua. He's from Costa Rica. And a few years ago, maybe about 4 years ago, I've been drinking yahe for about 2 years. And I was processing a lot in my life at that time. And I went to see him. I went to spend some time with him up at his farm. And we took a drive, and I was feeling really bummed this day. It's just one of those days where everything was gray, no matter how sunny it looked. And I said to him, I said, man, I don't know what I've done with my life. I don't know if up until now it's really been worth it, if I've really made a difference in anything that I've done or said. And he said to me, let me ask you something. He goes, in everything that you've done in the few years that I've known you, he said, forget about anything before that. Because do you think there's at least one person that you know with full certainty that you've helped in this world? A person whose life you've really made better by something you did for them or to them or with them? And I said, yeah, for sure. He said, well, then that's it. That's good enough. And this is what Emerson is saying here at the end. To know even one life has breathed easier because you have lived. This is to have succeeded. So now let us move on to Mahatma Gandhi's quote on what we need to do to really live an abundant, flourishing, thriving, prosperous, juicy, delicious life. Okay, and this is what Gandhi said. Your beliefs become your thoughts. Your thoughts become your words. Your words become your actions. Your actions become your habits. Your habits become your values. Your values become your destiny. This small quote, and I'm going to include the quotes in the class notes. This small quote is worth pondering and digesting and regurgitating, and whatever you need to do to break this down bit by bit and fully absorb it, fully own it, you have to do it. It is so key to understand that. We're going to go through it little by little here, okay? So your beliefs become your thoughts. This is really important because everything that we do in this world, either we are a co-creator of it or we're a passive experience. You're either co-creating the experience or you're passively experiencing it. Okay. And so if you're awake, if you are a sentient being who is cognizantly aware that they are mind, body, and spirit, and that you're infinitely connected to every particle of creation, then everything that you do, every vibration that you generate that resonates out, returns back to you. So we know that through our thoughts, we spark, we initiate the wheels of creation, we put them in motion. Okay? So whatever I believe, whatever that mirror is showing me and I'm accepting, that's the first step. So the first thing is to believe that you are truly a worthy being, a child of creation who is worthy of life and all its wonderfulness. Okay, because the belief is the first thing. When you look in the mirror, you have to absolutely believe in yourself. And what do I mean by that? You know, certainly there are moments and there can be days, and at first there might be weeks and it gets better, but there may be moments of doubt, of difficulty, moments where you don't feel worthy. But we have to understand that those moments are the illusion, they're not the reality. The reality is that you are worthy. The reality is that you're amazing, that everyone, every single being, including you, is unique, is special, and is necessary. There's not a single person in this world that is left over, that is extra. Every single human being counts. Every single human being has a purpose. So that's you. So the first thing to be an abundant, prosperous, rich human being is that you have to believe that you yourself are a manifestation of the treasures of life. And then believe that you are worthy of reflecting those treasures into the world. So if you can take that belief, then transfer that to your thoughts. See, the belief core must be as beautiful and as positive as possible, because from the belief initiates the spark of creation, the thought, the conceptualization. You know, if you're consistently consumed by a thought, eventually it will manifest. You will either have to live it out or create it, or the universe will bring it to you. But anything that has repeated thought will have a physical expression at one time or another here in the physical world. Your thoughts become your words. So we know that in the art of alchemy, in whether you want to call it sorcery or magic, or practicing the spiritual arts or the alchemic arts, you know, the words have a lot to do with your path and your intention and your views. But we know even from ancient texts the power of the word. You know, in the Bible, it talks about how the beginning, the word was with God, and the word was God. And in Spanish, it talks about el verbo, the verb. So it's not just a word as in a passive word, but a word as in an action word, el verbo, the sound, the word of creation, the verb that brought everything into life. In the Inca culture, it talks about the power of the word, and how when you're on the path, you have to be careful with the words that you use and the commitments that you make, because if you devalue your word in your daily living, when it comes time to pray, to heal, to chant, to sing, the power of your word has been diminished. So the word, according to the ancient teachings, is very powerful. Okay, sound was used as one of the primary elements for the physical creation. So if what I believe dictates my thoughts, and my thoughts spark my creation, and I use words to bring that reality into creation, here we can very clearly see how important it is to have a clean core belief system, to have an awareness of my thoughts and an awareness of my words. The Mambay and the Mbil This is a medicine very specific to the heart. It's considered a heart medicine. But how does it work? It works by aligning the thought with the word. And one of the teachings is to cheat the word. And what do we mean by that? Because typically when we speak unconsciously, or we speak out of what we think is a righteous point of view or a judgmental point of view. But at the end of the day, when you sum it up, bottom line is that oftentimes when we speak, we're speaking unhealthy things into creation. So with the mambe, it cheats the word, meaning that you're going to cheat the word so only the sweetness comes out. So that what you're expressing creates a compassionate, beautiful result, either in the communication or in the creation. But whatever is being expressed, the mambe is used to sweeten the word, to cheat the negativity out of the word. So what we speak is very important. How we express ourselves, the energy that we put behind words. You know, when we say words like damn it, you know, people say curse words, but there's a difference between foul language and a curse word. Okay? Foul language is like shit or fuck. Okay? A curse word, a curse is damn it, damn you, go to hell. You understand? A damnation or the invocation of a curse. You know, and oftentimes what's happened is our minds have been whitewashed to the power of lexicon. Okay, a word assembly. Okay, for example, we use the word to understand. But really, if you want to see something, you want to overstand it. You understand? So the thing is that we've been trained socially to lose power in our words, to misunderstand what a word is and the power behind it. For example, the word cunt. The word cunt at one time actually represented a very wise, strong, powerful woman, mature, like something like a crone, okay? And it was a word of admiration, okay? It was a word that was used to show respect and honor to a woman who had achieved a certain development within her life path. And so today, as part of the result of the thousands of years of intentional derailment of the feminine energy, which has been part of the natural story, it had to happen. But just as an example, that word has been turned around and given a lot of negative connotations. The truth behind that word has been robbed. And if you begin to study lexicon, you'll find infinite number of words that have been changed and so forth and manipulated to rob the power from them. So when we use our words, let's use them with awareness. Let's speak truth. Let's speak beauty. Let's speak love. You know, instead of saying, fuck me, God bless me. You know, you can be just as emotional. You can be just as forceful when you want to pound your fist. But instead of invoking a curse, why not invoke a blessing? Okay? So when you're going to judge yourself, for example, instead of saying that was my fault, you know, fault is a failure. Okay? But we need to be gentle with our healing. We don't have to be so hard on ourselves. We need to be responsible. We need to be accountable. But we also need to be gentle, because if we can be gentle with ourselves, then we can be gentle with others. So instead of taking so much fault, take responsibility. You know what? The dishes didn't get done. That was my responsibility. The report wasn't completed on time. That was my responsibility. And it's true, it was. But you're lessening the charge while still being accountable. Okay, there's no need to beat ourselves up verbally, mentally, to overanalyze a mistake. Mistakes happen, okay? So when we make a mistake, let's learn from it, let's accept it, and let's get up and clean ourselves and keep walking, get back on the path, okay? So from our words, we go into actions. Our words become our actions. Okay. And here's where you're stuck now, because now you're acting. So now everything is in this world. You know, you went from a belief, which was an energetic concept, to a thought, which was the initiation of creation, to a word, which was the invocation of that creation, to the action, which is the manifestation or the consequence of all the energetic steps that you took before that. Then, of course, our actions become habits. All right, that's easy to understand. If you do something long enough, usually they say for 21 days, if you do something for 21 days straight every day, this is why I encourage you guys to pray every day, because if you do it for 21 days straight, then it becomes a habit. Your habit becomes your values. And you could say whether, you know, even if you don't believe in something, if you're doing it, then you're supporting it. And it's part of your values, whether you want to accept it or not. And ultimately, your values become your destiny. You know, if we live a life where we just constantly blame others for the difficulties or failures in our life, if we constantly complain and take no action to change things, if we judge others, if we're bitter on others, if we hate and cast shade on other people, okay, because they've got what we want, you know, and you're not willing to figure out how to get it for yourself or do the things necessary to get it for yourself, or maybe you sacrifice everything that's really valuable in life to get these material things. At the end of the day, you created the outcome of your destiny by the values that you held to be important, the habits that you nourished to achieve these values, and the actions you took to develop these habits. So if your actions, your habits, and your values can be that of beauty, of sharing, of grace, forgiveness, compassion, joy, hope, laughter, excitement, passion, then that's going to be your destiny. Your destiny will be a life full of passion, love, hope, joy, excitement. Okay, but you have to carry these things with you in the good and the bad. Okay, it's not all sunshine and it's not all rain, but you have to remain true to your center. You know, like Job from the Bible, you have to remain true in your commitment, because we're talking here about spiritual life. So you have to remain true in your commitment to your Creator. Okay, if you remain true to your commitment, no matter whether it's sunny or it's storm, there's going to be fruit in your life. There's going to be purpose. There's going to be that celestial love always accompanying you, because as Teta Juanito says, we're never alone. We always have the plants of the spirits, the plants of the animals, the angels, the archangels, our ancestors, our spirit guides. They're all here for us always. So if we can tap into that, and we can weather the storm when it's going bad, and we can be humble and grateful when it's going good, always remaining in that true center, then your destiny will be an evolution of that. Your destiny will be a natural evolution of what you held on to and what you expressed in every instant and in every moment. In life, we need to do things that mean more to us than just dollars in our bank account, okay? Prosperity and abundance have more to do with your spiritual disposition, have more to do with how you're managing your spiritual resources than anything else. Okay. Everything that you do in spirit will come back in the physical world. Now, in order to have a truly abundant and prosperous life, you also have to have a very balanced view of your life. So you need to have an awareness of where you're at with your environments, the environments that you hang out in, the environments internal to your body, what you're putting in your body and what you're surrounding your body by or around, where your mind is at. What are you feeding your mind, both internally and externally? You know, how much time is being consumed by digital junk food, as an example, and what you're feeding your spirit. There has to be a balance in order to have true abundance. And, you know, and sometimes these balances shift, right? We're always playing I mean, at least for me, it's like a game, but it's a fun game because you get the hang of it. You know, you're pushing everything forward. Uh, there's a beautiful quote. I think it was Lung Su that said it. Said, you know, everything in nature gets done, but nothing gets rushed. So you know, if you're applying awareness, sometimes you need to apply more effort in your spiritual world. Sometimes in your physical world. Sometimes you need to apply more effort in your mental world. And by effort, it could mean more meditation or more prayer or more rest. It doesn't have to mean more do. It could be doing more by actually doing less. But you know, sometimes the priority shifts. You know, the like spheres. You know, and sometimes you feel that something's out of balance, and you have to go attend to that and give it a little bit more extra love, or a little bit more extra attention to keep the whole balance in equilibrium and moving forward. So it's important for us to have awareness and self-reflection of where we're at mentally, physically, and spiritually, and see in our life what needs attention, what needs investment. Okay. So now the thing is, you know, it's hard to conceptualize an abundant, prosperous life without thinking about luxury and material gain. Okay. So here's the thing. Okay. So for example, in my early 20s, I would make on average about $15,000 a week. Okay. And I had everything that you would expect and more. Like from a young person that grew up with no money to a young person that had a considerable amount of money. You know, I had a, and here's the trick, right? If money is something that you're looking for, you have to have an awareness, because I learned it when it all came crashing down. I thought I had a house and I thought I had a condo. What I really had was two mortgages. I thought I owned four cars. What I really had was four leases. And there's a huge difference between owning something and renting it from the bank. So it's really important when we're making money to have an awareness of how are we spending our money? You know, are we like basically doing what I did, which was leveraging everything? Because, you know, when you start making money, you think it's never going to end, you know? And so you start using your credit cards. You know, the credit card wasn't a credit, you know, so like let's say for example, I had a $50,000 credit limit. That wasn't a credit limit. That was an extension of my income in my mind, right? The $50,000 was something that I could use, not as credit, but as just I had another $50,000 to play with. You know, it just didn't matter. So when we have money, when we have to see what is really important, you know, do we want to really have a lot of leverage debt like mortgages and leases and credit cards? When it comes to making money, it's really hard to make a lot of money if you just have a job. Okay. So the first thing about money is figuring out what defines your ideal life. Okay. You have to really sit down and figure out what is it that you want. I mean, do you really want a private plane? Do you really want a castle or a mansion? Do you want to have three cars? And then, you know, do you want to have them as leased or owned? There's a big difference. You know, what are you happy with? What is truly your ideal life? Is your ideal life a hectare of land or 100-acre ranch with horses? Or is it growing your own food? Or is your ideal life traveling around the world? You know, everybody has a different definition of what their ideal life looks like. Okay. One of the best ways to fulfill your ideal life is to connect your passion to your paycheck. Most of us sacrifice our passion in life for the paycheck. Okay. And many people think that if you sacrifice the paycheck, you're going to live your passion, but you're going to be a starving artist. And that's absolutely not true. Okay, absolutely not true. It just depends on what you want from life. Okay, if you want the private plane, if you want to own an island, then you're going to have to do the things that it takes to own these things. But will it be worth it? You know, maybe it is. I can't tell you if it is or it's not. I'm just telling you something to reflect on. When you're writing out your goals, when you're writing out what your ideal life looks like, is to ask yourself, okay, this is what it looks like. What does it really take to achieve this? And what do I have to sacrifice in exchange? Okay? Because what I have found is that most of us, while the shiny things are cute and they're brilliant, at our core, it's not what attracts us. I find that most people, especially most people on a spiritual path, enjoy the simpler things in life. You know, yes, if you can have a huge 18-room home on a 300-acre farm, you will. But, you know, there's a difference between it arriving in your life versus you having to go chase it. Most people that are on a spiritual path would be very happy with a home in an environment that they enjoy, whether it's near the beach or the mountains, whether it's in the jungle or the forest, and being able to serve and enjoy life. Many people are happy just being good people, doing good things without a major spiritual calling. They might have a huge physical purpose. They may be painters, because it's all spiritual anyway. If you're living your passion, you're living your spirit's purpose. But I'm using words that, you know, to kind of define industries and professions. But most people are comfortable with having enough. The thing is, it's very difficult for us to determine what having enough looks like, because we're told we have to have this and we have to have that, you know, and then the alpha types, you know, we go for it all because we're told that that's what we have to do. That's the way we have to be. And if you can get past that illusion, if you can get past whatever your parents told you, whatever you thought you had to be, even if you've been studying the same profession and living it and practicing it for the last 15 or 20 years, if it's not your passion, get out of it. You don't have to do that. You don't have to be that. Okay? Almost anyone today's world can easily make $30,000 to $40,000 a year by working online, doing something online. You know, if there's an amazing business guru that I recommend you guys look up. His name is Gary Vaynerchuk. You know, and he's right. You know, he said if Pez dispensers, if you guys know what Pez dispensers are, those little candies that with the little plastic animal tops and faces that you kind of pull back and the candy comes out. You know, if Pez dispensers are your passion, there's enough people in the world today, and there are enough resources to pull these people together that you can make $30,000 to $40,000 a year talking about sharing and creating an entire world around Pez dispensers. What does this translate into? That whatever your passion is in this world, there's enough people and there are enough ways of connecting these people and bringing them together today that you can make more than enough money to live a good, comfortable life. But the question is, how do you define what a good, comfortable life is for you? Okay. So when we define our life, we have to ask ourselves, what does it take to fund this life? Because it's not just about achieving a life, it's about sustaining that. You know, if I want a private plane and I want to own the private plane, then I need a hangar for my private plane. I need a crew for my plane. I need fuel for my plane. Okay, tires for my plane. I need food, because what's the point of having a private plane if you're going to fly and have no food on your plane? That's kind of silly. So everything that you want to achieve, everything that you want to have requires continuous funding, whether you have to fund it with energy, with time, with money, or a combination. So, you know, we have to take the long view on things. If you want true prosperity in your life, you have to abandon the short-term play. There is no long-term gain in the short-term play. Okay, and what is the short-term play? It's immediate solutions for immediate problems. Okay, so maybe 20% or less of the time, something comes up and it requires a short-term solution for the moment. Okay, that could be true. But if you're living 30%, 40%, 80% of your life or more, constantly figuring out an immediate solution to an immediate problem, you're living from the wrong uh, energy quadrant. Okay, it means that everything in your life is a constant emergency. It's something's coming up, and this is usually related to poor planning and poor long vision. Because many times when we make a short-term solution, we are going to sacrifice something in the long term. So to have a continuous flow of abundance and prosperity in our life, we have to have an awareness of what's the long term looking like. You know, give me a second. I'm gonna get a little drink. Yeah, like I don't know about you guys, but like when I was a kid, I really wanted a dog, right? So let's call the dog the desire. Well, okay, I at some point in time, I had the means, I think around 16, to get my own dog. Okay, I had the means to acquire the dog, but I didn't have the means to continuously fund the dog. You know, I didn't have the desire to walk him twice a day, even though I lived in the city. I didn't, you know, plus the vet, plus the food. Like, I just wanted a dog. But this is what I'm saying. You know, sometimes we just want something, but we're not really understanding what kind of long-term commitment we're making by acquiring this or bringing this thing into our life. And then after we consider what it takes to continuously have this in our life, we have to wonder, is it worth the sweat and the sacrifice that I have to make, one, to acquire it, and two, to maintain it, okay? There's something that's really important to understand when it comes to money. There's a fundamental difference between being poor and being broke, okay? I had the opportunity to study for a few years with one of the most amazing marketing minds and writers of the Western world. His name is Gary Halbert, okay? And one day, when I first started as his apprentice, he had a houseboat in downtown Miami at the Bayside Marina. And we're walking in the marina, and I said to him, I said, Gary, I'm just tired of being poor. And this guy back-fisted my chest, took the wind out of me, and he said to me, get something straight and get it straight right now. You may be broke, but you've never been poor. Poverty is a condition of the soul, he told me. Being broke is a condition of the pocket. He said being broke is something temporary that you can fix at any time you decide to make money. Being poor is something that you can go a whole lifetime and never get over. And let me tell you, a lot of people that have a lot of money are very poor. So it's important to understand there's a difference between being poor and being broke, okay? Being poor goes back to the beginning of this class. Being poor is related to your perspective of life and what you define as success. If success to you is having $100 billion empire at the cost of your family, at the cost of nature's resources, at the cost of human behavior towards others, that's not success. That's just a massive billion-dollar failure, in my book. Okay, that's being poor. Being broke is just not having money in your pocket. But if you can have love in your heart, if you can have a clear conscience on your mind, if you can have a healthy body, then you're already very successful. And the only thing that's left is to wait for the right moment or the right opportunity for you to generate a little bit of income, and then generate a little bit more, and then a little bit more, and then keep going down that road. Okay. I think it's important to talk a little bit about income here, because I've had the opportunity to really run a full gambit on the money scale. When I was making $15,000 a week, I had an apartment, a little penthouse um, in downtown Miami. I had a 3-bedroom house in South Florida, 2 convertible cars, and a bunch of other toys. And then I came to a place in my life. I was My mom was very broke when we were growing up, and then boom, I came into all this money, and then boom, later on down the road, I was literally counting out beans, the beans, the frijoles, counting them out, and the rice, separating them to see how many meals I was able to make. Okay, so literally rationing food. That's the term, rationing food. I was rationing food. So, and from that point forward, I've lived all kinds of very interesting things. I've had business enterprises that have been massive failures. I have had successes that were very beautiful. And what I've discovered is that if you want to live a truly abundant life, it all goes back to surrendering your will, to surrendering your desire to the Creator, and really thirsting to fulfill your highest purpose on this planet. Okay. Making enough money to be happy is not that hard. It's really not. You know, it just really depends on what your feeling is, on what it takes to make you happy. Okay. There's a lot of opportunity out there in the world as far as making cash goes, ethical opportunities, good opportunities, you know, but you have to be realistic. If for years you have been in the matrix, if for years, here, let me use it another way. Well, the thing is, guys, the thing is, there's no shortcuts. You know, miracles happen, great things happen, but if you're 10 miles down the road, you know, and where you want to be is 10 miles over here, you've got to cross those 10 miles. You know, yes, with prayer and meditation, you know, the miracle may happen where a car shows up and gives you a ride for part of the way or most of the way. But if you've developed a sucky life, or if you've really become entrapped in the system, it's going to take effort on your part to break free of it. You know, it takes effort to get away from the matrix. It takes effort to connect your paycheck to your passion. And it takes a lot of courage and really big ovaries or really big balls. I mean, you really got to throw down, because there's an entire system created to keep you down. You understand? So, I mean, it's like you really have to want it. You have to really be willing to go for it, because everything that is industrial, pharmaceutical, banking, it's created to keep you down, to keep you compliant and in your place. And most places suck. They're metaphoric cubicles, okay? And the only way to get out is by breaking out. But that takes time. It takes planning. You know, depending on how many responsibilities you have, how many responsibilities you've acquired. And by responsibilities, I don't mean credit card debt or student loans. You know, that's no, but I mean, like, you know, if you have children, or there's people that depend on you, things like this, you know, or if you entered into contractual obligations, you know, if you cannot leave yourself in destitute. You know, Carlos isn't telling you, yes, if your job sucks, quit. Absolutely. But, you know, don't quit tomorrow if you're going to be living in the street by next Wednesday. That's not what I'm saying. Plan your escape and plan it well. Okay? It's like that. It's just how deep in the prison are you, right? Like, if you're just like right by the door, it's easier to escape. You know, if you're deep inside the belly of the beast, then, you know, you're going to have to pray a lot more and plan your escape a lot more thoroughly, but you can get out. You can escape, you know, and for sure, with full certainty. You know, I told you guys that story about when I woke up and I had no money, and I was in Costa Rica, and I got dressed, I did my prayers, and I went to the food market, And by the time I came back home, I had all my food, I paid my cell phone bill, and I had a few extra bucks in my pocket, you know. And then after that night or the next day, Taita Juanito called me, and I had told him, I said, hey, bro, you know, I'm in a pretty tight jam. I haven't gotten any therapy clients in a while. I haven't gotten any speaking engagements, and money's just a little tight, you know. And I also did odd jobs. It's not like, you know, it's not like I'm not above any kind of work. And it just there was a blockage, right? And so he prayed for me, or he told me he was going to pray for me, right? That's what he said he was going to do. I believed him. The next morning when I wake up, a little while later, I get a calling for 2 bookings for therapy sessions that day. And then at night, I got a booking for the next day. And then from that day forward, I just got continuous bookings. Like it just didn't stop. And then I asked him at some point in time when I saw him again, I said, did you pray for me today? He goes, yeah, of course I did. Why? And I told him why. And the thing is that I just want to impress upon you how important that spiritual connection is, how important it is to seek your passion, to seek your life's purpose. And when I say this, because in my mind, right, we have to be so careful with words. In my mind, your greatest passion is your life's purpose, and your life's purpose will be your greatest passion. And to be able to connect with this through prayer and through meditation, where in your heart, you know that for sure this is it, and the things in your life align to allow you to express that. That's the greatest, fastest shortcut to abundant living and prosperous life, okay? And the best way that I know how to achieve that is through prayer. I just, through surrendering in prayer, my will become just fulfilling my highest purpose, what I was designed to do in this world at the highest level. And in pursuing that, I have lived the last 10, the last 15 years of my life have been absolutely amazing. Like mind-blowing, soul-expanding, life-transforming, delicious. The pains, the ups and the downs, they've all been worth it the last 15 years, because that has been my pursuit. That has been my focus. And I have felt it, because you feel it. You know, because it's like here, you guys are listening to me speak, but when it's just you and the universe, it's you speaking to the universe and the universe speaking back to you. And you feel the power of creation pulsing itself towards you and eventually through you when you open up, when you're willing to receive, okay? So some things when it comes to life, because we like, again, so much of abundance is about money, but it's not, okay? What Gandhi was talking about, values and beliefs, it's so important to know your value, okay? To have a comfortable, like I, you know, sometimes you just got to know what's up, you know? Like if somebody is texting and driving and they're driving me, I put a cold stop to it, because I am far too important to let someone else get into a car accident with me in it. And I'm so sorry if that offends anyone, but no, you cannot text or talk on your phone if you're driving me. I am far too valuable. That's my perspective. That's my opinion. Okay. But it's so important to carry that belief about yourself. What value you give yourself is the value that the entire world will accept, and that no one will change. They will certainly not add to it. Okay. If you yourself do not know your value, then no one else is going to be able to assign it to you. That's why that core belief is so important. Okay, I'll tell you guys a story. A cacique is a tribal chief. Okay, and so there was this tribal chief traveling through different towns, and he came up on an artisan, a guy that did jewelry, and the guy was selling a necklace with a tooth about this big. Okay. And just to put it into modern terms, the chief asked him how much is the necklace with the tooth, and he said, well, it's $400. And the chief took out this other necklace with a tooth that was that much bigger. And he said, well, how much is this worth? And the guy, without missing a beat, said, no, that's worth nothing because you don't know its value. And that's what it is. No matter if our tooth is this tiny or this big, we have to know our value. Because if we don't know our value, no one is going to treat you with the value that you deserve to be treated with. You will never be able to demand fair price for your person, for your participation, for your collaboration, for your creative, for your being and for your presence. You first have to set your own worth internally, okay? Now, please, let's be realistic, okay? For example, if I can value myself greatly as a human being, okay? I won't let someone text or talk on the phone while they drive me, okay? But let's just say that I just came out of culinary school, okay? Or I've been a chef for the last 2 years. It's not realistic for me to place a big ticket price on my services because I don't have the experience yet, okay? So one thing is the value that you give yourself as a human being, and then there's the realistic price that you set on your goods and your services. We have to be in balance with life, okay? There has to be a homeostasis for being, okay? You can't be out of balance. For example, if my teacher charges $300 for a 2-hour therapy session, there's no way that I can charge $290. It's not realistic. You understand? You have to be fair with people. You have to know your market, okay? So know your internal value, but when you are going to charge for a service, have confidence, have certainty, have firmness, but also be fair with the price that you're charging, okay? That's really important. So there are things that you can do in the world that will augment your spiritual bank account, okay? Tithing is really important. And, you know, they say the word tithing comes from 10% and giving 10% of your income. And, you know, I have played with tithing for almost 20 years now. I've been playing with tithing. And here's what I have found. That giving a percentage of your income is important. I haven't seen 10% to be some kind of magical number. And I've studied some esoteric sciences about the 10%, and there's things in it that make sense. But what I have found is that giving with your heart and giving something, like if I made $1,000 and I gave $1 or $10, that's not really giving. Giving has to cost you something. So, you know, that's why 10% is kind of cool, because if you made $1,000 and you gave $100, you feel that. You know what I'm saying? You feel that in the shift. You know, if I made $1 million and I gave away $100,000, it's enough money where you can feel it. You know, but it doesn't hurt you, but you feel what you're giving. And so when you're giving, it's important that when you're giving for the sake of tithing, or when you're giving for the sake of making a spiritual payment, that you feel it, you know, that you really, you know, you feel it when you gave it to them. You know, it doesn't have to crush you or hurt you, but you're giving enough that there's an awareness that, yes, I made a small sacrifice. I made a small gift in giving this. Tithing is also with your time, with your resources, with your knowledge. You know, if there's a community project that you can participate in, if there's a community project that you can start, okay, this is also a form of tithing, is by giving. For me personally, I like a combination of both. I like to pay forward or pass on forward or tithe or donate or contribute to charity some of my income, and then I like to give some of my time. You know, I like to do it both ways. Important in okay, Dre, I see you have a question, and I'm going to get to that in a second. Being able to receive is so important for an abundant and prosperous life. You know, so many of us are good at giving and giving and giving, But when it comes to receiving, we close off. You know, like for me, asking for help has been something that's been the big challenge over the last 2 years, is learning how to ask for help and not feeling like I have to do it all on myself, or that, you know, it's just being able to receive the help of others. That's so good. It feels so good, you know, when you're able to just receive help without ego, or worrying if the person is trying to hurt you, or judgment, or fearing that you're not gonna look as cool or strong if I accept help. Oh my God, you know, I'm Carlos Duran. How can anybody help me? Oh my God, you know, and we get caught in this story in our minds, you know, and this ego just like, ah. So if we can just strip ourselves of that and go, oh my God, how good. Thank you for helping me. Yes, of course, please help me. Thank you so much. It feels good. You know, it feels good that when you help, you receive help and you're like, yeah, this is nice. This is balanced, you know? So being able to be gentle in our heart, to allow others to come into our life, whether it's just for a moment, to open a door or carry a bag, or something more serious. You know, maybe we need help on a project or a situation. Maybe we need financial help, you know. But being able to open our heart to receiving the help of others is really key, because the universe uses other people to bless us. Okay. So if I'm not open to, let's say, Russell helping me carry a bag, okay, and the universe sees that, oh, Carlos is shut off. He's not even willing to let Russell carry a bag. Well, then how is the universe going to use Cynthia to bless me with $1 million project, or a multi-year contract? You know, you understand? We have to be open to the network that is humanity. We have to be open to the flow of that game. You know, we're all here to give and receive collectively. And we have to allow everyone to play that game. We can't deny anyone the opportunity to give within reason, right? I mean, if somebody's trying to give you a bunch of shit or a heart or a headache, you don't have to receive that. We're talking about things for flow, things for prosperity, things for abundance, things for love. Being able to give is very important. Don't be stingy with your time. Don't be stingy with your resources. Okay. Don't be stingy with your words. Don't be stingy with your love, your affection. Don't be stingy with anything that can easily and freely flow to you and from you. Give. In Spanish, there's a saying that says, giving hands are never empty. And so we're not talking about just giving money, right? Go back to everything I said. Don't be stingy with any of your resources, with your time, with your words, with your actions, with your emotions. If you can give someone love, give them love. If you can give them support, give them support. Be willing to give without any expectation of receiving. If I ask you to please take this pen for me from here to your home, because I'm going to need it over there in 2 weeks, don't expect that I have to do anything for you. That's ridiculous. Don't do things with an expectation. If you're going to expect something, say it straight out. Be clear, be authentic. Look, I'll happily do this, but can you do this for me? Okay? And if you can, just do it without expecting anything in return, because the universe is the ultimate accounting system. And as you give with an open and free heart, you will receive with an open and free heart. And you give without attachment, and you're going to receive without attachment. Okay? To do things and then expect, and this is very typical of the Western mind, you know, oh, but I did this for you. Then you should have never done it. You know, don't be so disgusting with your words that when you do a favor, you feel you have to throw it in somebody's face because they didn't do you a favor. No, then you never did the favor in the first place. You understand? What you did was you made an investment. It was a ploy. You did something with the expectation of an unspoken or unagreed to return back in your favor. Okay? And that's, you know, that can even be deceptive if it's applied intentionally. So when we give, let us give freely. Let us give with love. Let us give without strings. Okay? And let us trim out the fat of our lives. Okay? So energetic fat. People and places and things that rob you of your energy. Okay? If you know that this TV show, okay, like for me, it was House of Cards. I had to stop watching House of Cards. It was just loaded with too much negativity. Okay? Or if you know that this bar or this place robs you of energy, or this group of people robs you of energy, okay, trim out the fat. If there's somebody in your life that's always borrowing from you and never giving, trim out the fat, okay? Mental things that rob you of your peace of mind. If you know that every time somebody calls, there's going to be an argument, you have to do some ruthless editing in your life with love, with compassion, but from a distance. Things that rob you of physical wellness, material prosperity, mental peace, or energetic grace, this is fat that has to be trimmed out, okay? It's only going to cause cancers in your life. So I'll repeat that again. Anything that compromises your physical well-being, your material prosperity, your mental peace, or your energetic grace has to be trimmed out, okay? And you have to look at your life as well for unnecessary expenses. You know, are you paying unnecessary cable bills? Okay, are you paying unnecessary bills for luxuries that you either don't need or don't use? You know, do you have a $600 a month car lease when a $400 a month car would be just as good, and you save $2,400 a year? You understand? Because there's a lot of things that when we review our life, we realize, wait a minute, I'm paying with my time and my energy so that a piece of my ego will be appeased by this material possession, but in the long term, it's costing me way too much. And you can have a full review of all the expenses in your life, the energetic expenses and the monetary expenses, and figure out what's worth downsizing, what's worth getting rid of, and what changes you can make to have more abundance and prosperity in your life by not making more, but by simply reducing the cost of energy and money in your life, you understand? Because savings is just as good as earnings, okay? If we can save time and space, you know, if I could save $1,000, it's just as good as making $1,000, okay? There's some, no. So if money is the thing that you need in your life, then because there's obviously a certain level where it's like, you know, if you're making an X amount of money, it's just not enough, you know, or the conditions that you have to work in to make the money aren't right. It's too many hours, not enough time for yourself, not enough time for your spiritual pursuits, not enough time for your family. Then you have to create that escape plan that we talked about. You have to do it. What are the professions that you enjoy? What kind of training can you get? What kind of entrepreneurial projects can you participate in? What are some moonlighting gigs or part-time gigs that you can do to save some money, to create like a little chest, little savings chest for yourself, so then you can break free? You know, you have to have a game plan. There has to be a game plan. When it comes to making more money, you have to have a logical game plan that aligns with your spiritual pursuits, okay? So as an example, if you know, if you practice holistic medicine, but you know, a pharmaceutical contract comes down the pike for you and they're going to pay you, you know, 10 times what you're making now. Okay, you're making more money, you've achieved that goal, but you had to sacrifice spiritual alignment. So what we're talking about here is making enough money that you don't have any more problems that money can solve for you, and doing it in a way that feels good to your mind, body, and soul. Okay, that's what brings abundance and prosperity in your life. That's what brings joy. Because when you're doing it like that, there's no stress, there's no anxiety, there's no anger, there's a lot of sharing, there's a lot of good times, there's a lot of liberty, there's a lot of freedom. And before I go on, I'm going to now go to the questions. Give me a second, guys. Dre, can tithing be a part of charity or giving to someone who needs that 20%, such as a friend in need? Yes, it can be. 10%, 20%, 5%. I haven't found a specific percentage, but a lot of ancient teachings do talk about that 10%. So giving it away is absolutely important. Or does it have to be towards something or someone that you don't know? It could be either one. Now, something about money is having an awareness of where we spend our money, okay? So like if I'm giving money to my friend to support them, but they drink alcohol, they smoke cigarettes, you know, that's not so good. You know, if you know that someone has a gambling habit, or it's so important as best you can to have an awareness of when you go buy food, when you go buy anything, to have an awareness of what you're supporting with your money. You know, like for me, I like to buy a lot of used clothes. I like to buy secondhand items because I'm just not, I like to support as little as possible multinational, transnational corporations. I like to buy as much of my food as possible from local farmers. I just have an awareness of where is your money going? You know, whose lifestyle are you funding with your money? Um, like for me, also, I like to bank with a credit union. You know, um, I like to buy products that are organic, locally made as much as possible, um, because I want to have as much control over where the energy of my income is circulating into. What circles is it going into? You know, so that's really important, is to know what am I doing with my money? What am I supporting? Where is that going? Let me see the next question. Is investing in your spiritual training considered giving? No, V, it is not. As you're learning something to help mankind, like training for Reiki or even doing plant medicine so you can be a better person, that's considered giving to yourself, which is very important. And I'm glad you brought that up, because part of abundance and prosperity is self-care. Okay, so you have to give to yourself. You have to be willing. Like for me, like I have a friend of mine. I don't know if some of you guys know him, Eli. And when I met Eli, I was like, man, this guy's so comfortable. Everything he does is always so comfortable. And I'm more of like a rugged, kind of like military-minded kind of person. But I learned from watching Eli. I'm like, you know what? No, I'm gonna make myself more comfortable too. It's okay to be comfortable. It's okay to feel good. It's okay to have a nice, comfy mattress and a beautiful, comfy couch, you know? But, you know, if you use your comfy couch to watch 10 hours of TV a day, and you use your nice mattress to spend it in there being depressed or having an endless stream of sexual partners, or you know, it's a lot of it has to do with what you have is why you have it and what you're doing with it. Okay, you know, like somebody could have a bulldozer and they can use it to level land and create grazing pastures for cows, right? Or the same person can use a bulldozer to clean up a piece of land and plant trees and fruits and food gardens and a home and create a balanced environment. So a lot of the times is why do you want it and what you're going to do with it. That's what really comes down to. But having for yourself comfort is very good. You know, chances are that if you were meant to be a monk or a hermit or a nun, or a priestess, a renunciate priestess, if you were meant to be meditating in a cave in Nepal, you would have been born there. 99.9% of the time when this is your path, you're born there. If you're born in the city, if you're born in the first world, in the modern world, whatever they want to call it, in the industrial world, then this is your world. And comfort is part of our world. Okay? And we should feel good about being comfortable. We should feel good about having our children comfortable, about having our family comfortable. Okay? There's no shame in being comfortable. Um, you know, if you want a $10,000 diamond bracelet, that, you know, there's the question is why? You know, why do you want that? Why do you need to have that? You know, does it have to be diamonds? Does it have to be blood diamonds? You know, these are just examples of ways to think about things. You know, when we want something, to really dissect the core desire, to really see where is this appetite coming from, and if it's something that we should satisfy or that we should transmutate. And Jay says, and can a part of receiving be a part of someone else giving or tithing? Kind of confusing. Receiving is you. Receiving is what you receive. Receiving is what you get. Receiving is you being willing to let someone help you, to let someone give to you, being open to the support of the universe. Because one thing is for certain, the universe in every instant, in every moment, is conspiring for your success. The question is, do we have the willingness to receive it? And that's what receiving comes down to. Guys, if there's any more questions, please feel free to either type your name and I'll unmute you, or to type your question and I'll get to it right now. Two things that I want to say to you about abundance and prosperity is that a few things. To please keep in mind the power of your thoughts, your words, and your actions. Okay, this goes back to what we were saying before. If we think beautiful, if we speak beautiful, and if we act beautiful, we will create a beautiful life for ourselves and all those around us. Okay, a beautiful life includes abundant, prosperous living. Have an awareness of how you're making your money, where you're spending your money. Also, our emotions, okay, our emotions create our perspective. Our perspective determines a lot of our thoughts and our words and our actions. If you're dealing with things like anger, depression, victimhood, shame, and selfishness, these are emotions that you're going to need to address through spiritual practice. I mean, if you have an awareness, yes, I have deep anger, I have deep depression, I often do feel as a victim, I often am selfish, I do feel shame. These are key emotions that are huge barriers to abundant, prosperous living. So if you feel that you're dealing with these things, then you have to come up with a spiritual game plan to transform and remove them from your life. Things such as yahe and other plant medicines, meditation, prayer, a daily spiritual practice, daily forgiveness. These are things that will help alleviate these negative emotions. And one thing that I want to leave you guys with is don't let the haters distract you, okay? When you shine brilliant, there's always going to be people. If you're not doing it right, then nobody's talking bad about you. If you're shining, there's always going to be someone somewhere that wants to cast shade on you. I mean, they crucified Jesus Christ, guys. Okay, and this guy came here with like a lot of love, all religion aside. You know, historically speaking, this dude was amazing, brought love, taught compassion, massively wise, and they crucified him. What do you think they're going to do to us? You know, but here's the secret. I don't give a fuck. Every time someone casts shade or hate or negativity your way with all the love and compassion in your heart, Johnny, you're not well. Maria, you're not well. That's why there's so much jealousy and hate in your life. And I'm sorry. I cannot give a fuck about your toxicity. I can't let it affect me. And with love, just don't care about what negative people say about you. Don't care about the negative comments. If you know that you're true, if you know that you're in integrity, if you know that your conscience is clean, that your intentions were pure, if you made a mistake, if you offended, yes, you can apologize. But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about those people that no matter what, you know, they've always got something to say. There's always something on the tip of their tongue, and it's usually your name. You know, don't worry about them. You know, worry about yourself, the people you're helping, and about the things that you want to do. Okay, your mind cannot be consumed with going forward and looking back at the same time. So just look forward. Any comments about you are in the past. Just keep going forward with love, with passion. Let prosperity and abundance be gifts from the universe that you're willing to receive. Open your heart to receiving. Open your heart to giving. Okay, there's one book that I want to recommend to you guys, which is 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. Okay, it's a great book. I highly recommend that you read it. And there was a second book that I was looking through my Rolodex that I wanted to recommend. And I'll get that to you guys in a little bit. So final round, if there's any questions, thank you, Dre. If there's any questions, please type out your name or the question in the comments section, And may the love of God always flow from you and to you. And may you always have full awareness of his presence in your life. Because if you can have full awareness of the presence and the love of our Creator in your life, you have all the abundance and all the prosperity that anybody could ever hope for. Thank you so much, guys. I love you all. I look forward to next week uh, when we're going to get into reconnecting with our spirit and our soul. May God bless you. May God protect you. And may the Holy Spirit always guide you. Thank you so much. I love you all.